Hey everybody, it's Joel Williams and Chase Elleby with Williams Elleby coming to you today with week 18 of our video series of 52 weeks of personal injury. Today we want to talk to you about proving lost wages in an injury case. So Chase, why don't you start us off and tell us, let's say for a W-2 employee, how do we go about proving lost wages if somebody misses work after they're injured?
All right, so I guess before I answer that, it'd probably be best to give a little context. So lost wages are definitely an item of damages you can seek when you've been injured, right? So classic example is a car wreck. You go to the hospital, they tell you to stay out of work for a week or whatever to get better. So that is an item of damages you can seek from the at-fault insurance company. And a W-2 employee, someone who gets paid the same amount every 2 weeks, the easiest way to prove those lost wages is just to get a pay stub, right? Get a pay stub to find out what the hourly rate is and find out how many days you missed from work. So that's the easiest and the cleanest, I say, ways to prove lost wages in that regard. Some issues you run into, though, is not everyone's a W-2 employee, right? We've got a real big gig economy right now, whether it's Uber Eats, Lyft, all those types of employers, or not even necessarily employers, but the companies people work for, where they get paid by 1099, right? So there's no set time, set hours, set amount that they're going to earn. So if they've been injured, say they have a broken leg or need to have back surgery, they might miss 6 to 8 weeks worth of work, but it's really hard to prove how much you actually missed during that 6 to 8 weeks with those types of jobs. So I guess what would be an example of how we would try to prove that?
Yeah, so if you're a contractor and your hours aren't necessarily consistent, your pay may go up and down depending on the needs of your job. Really the best way to do it is just to try to average it out, and hopefully the person that's injured has a has a history of working with that company, so you can go back like 5 or 6 months or even a year is the best, and figure out, all right, what's the average amount that this person made over that time period. And then it's just a simple matter of adding that up, dividing by the number of weeks that you can show past lost earnings, and then figuring out, all right, well, they averaged $500 a week of missed pay during that time. They've missed 4 weeks from work, so 500 times 4 weeks is going to be $2,000, right? That's the easiest way to do it. But it gets really complicated sometimes, especially when you're talking about business owners, right? So for anyone who owns a business and their income may fluctuate tremendously, like any business owner listening to this video knows that unless you're in a very niche injury, or I can't even talk today, unless you were in a very niche industry, when COVID hit, your income probably went down because your business's income went down. It goes up and down. So when you're a business owner, it gets even harder. And you have to, look at tax forms and K-1s and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
to
profit
try
and loss, right?
Yeah, I guess what I'm really trying to say is that it all comes back to history. History of earnings, and then trying to extrapolate that into projecting what you should have or would have made if you hadn't have been injured. Right? And you don't have to prove it with exact certainty. It doesn't have to be down to the nearest penny. It's just got to be a reasonable projection of what you would have made.
And another example too is, let's say you're a contractor, and let's just say you build out basements for example. You get in a wreck, and that next week you were supposed to start a big contract where you're going to make $25,000. It's always important, if you have it, to have either some sort of contract, something in writing to confirm that you actually had that job, that it was lined up, that you were ready to go, and then because of this injury you lost it. Okay, that happens a lot with some of our clients, and they're not necessarily contractors or whatever, but we hear, well, I was about to do this, that, and the other, but those jobs are gone now. Well, we have to be able to prove that, and we have to be able to prove that with documentation. So even if it's a text, if it's an email, if it's something to show, hey, you're on the job, you're going to make X amount of dollars, that too can be used to show, their lost earnings, lost wages. So.
Yeah. I think it's important also for people to know when you're making a lost wage claim in a personal injury case, money you get for lost wages is actually taxable, right? as opposed to money you get, at least under the current law, money you get for bodily injury or medical bills and expenses or even pain and suffering. That money is not taxable, but if you do get money for lost wages, it is taxable, because the idea, at least my understanding of the idea behind the tax code, is that you didn't pay taxes on it when you earned the money, or when you would have earned the money, but now you're getting the money at a later date, so you have to pay taxes on it then. So sometimes, depending on the size of the lost wage claim, it may or may not be in your best interest to make that claim. So for example, if you've got $1 million in medical bills and catastrophic lifelong injuries, if your lost wage claim is small compared to that, and you know you're going to have to try your case, you may not even make the lost wage claim, because number one, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. Number two, if it's that much smaller than your bodily injury claim, as far as medical bills and pain and suffering goes, you sort of want the jury focusing on that larger number, and it gives your attorney some more leeway to argue for a higher overall award.
Okay.
But you do need to keep in mind that when you settle a case, we generally have a lot of leeway to categorize the types of damages like we want to in the settlement statement.
Yeah, it's usually just a lump sum.
Exactly. So even though you theoretically could have had a lost wage claim, if none of the settlement money is allocated for lost wages and it's all allocated for bodily injury, then you can avoid paying taxes on it that way. And it's not trying to skirt tax laws or anything like that. It's just a matter of allocating the money in such a way that it benefits you the most.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but those are the main ways to prove lost wages. The primary things to remember would be you got to be able to document it, and prior history of earnings is always, well, usually the best way to do that. So, all right, well, you got anything else?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, good deal. Well, if this video has been helpful to you, we'd appreciate you giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel. If you have any other comments on good ways to prove lost wages, just insert them in the comment section below. Otherwise, we will see you next week for video number 19.